We will let you know when. Please note that we are recording this presentation in order to continue sharing this great event. My name is Luz de los Reyes. I am the Administrative Associate for Diversity and Inclusion Programs at El Paso Community College. Currently, D&I is under the direction of Dr. Andrew Peña, Executive Director for Human Resources. Joining us today, we also have Lee Vasquez, coordinator for our program and our co-host for this great event. Lee.
Thank you, Luz. These events are not possible without the participation and support of our committee members. So I would like to take this moment to say a special thank you to Ms. Luz Roberts and Arlina Larcon for their enormous support. We truly appreciate all you do in helping make these events a success. Also, a big thank you to our audience members here today. We have a great mix of faculty, staff, students, and community members. Thank you all for joining us. And for those wanting the Tejano Passport link, we will have that posted in the chat room in a few minutes. Luz, back to you.
Thank you, Lee. I now have the pleasure of introducing our great speaker for today, Ms. Susie Zambrano. She is the interim treasurer and head of operational volunteers for Mija Yes You Can. She was born and raised here in El Paso, Texas, and has been a registered nurse for 20 years. I can just imagine the story she can probably tell us about. Everyone, please welcome Ms. Susie Zambrano. Susie.
Hi, thank you, Luz. Thank you, Lee. I'm very happy to be here. I am grateful and I appreciate you inviting me here. I'm kind of nervous, so just bear with me if you notice my voice a little shaky. I'm gonna start off by talking a little bit about myself. I have been a nurse for 20 years. Um, and I am, and 18 of those years I worked as a school nurse. And I just recently left my job as a school nurse in October. I'm also like Lou said, part of Mija Yes You Can. I'm going into my second year, I think about a year and a half with Mija Yes You Can. Mija Yes You we're actually, we turned 2 yesterday. So we're celebrating our second year anniversary. Um, and We're a nonprofit organization to, advocating and empowering women in the community. Not only women, but girls also. We raise money to provide scholarships, grants, workshops to girls and women in the community. And we hold pop-up shops throughout the city. Actually, with our second year anniversary, we're gonna celebrate this coming Sunday at Chuco Relic. We're gonna have our huge celebration. We're gonna have our pop-up shop. We're gonna have hot dogs. A hot dog meal for anybody who donates feminine hygiene products. To us, in exchange we'll get a hot dog meal. So if you are free and want to do some shopping, go ahead and stop by at Chuco Relic this Sunday from 10 to 3. We'll be there. So anyways, my presentation today is burnout at the workplace, and thinking about quitting or leaving your job, change of careers. And I chose to speak about that because I'm actually going through that right now. I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about my history, my background, so you can understand why I'm making the decisions that I'm making, at this point in my life. Just bear with me. If I get out of hand, if it's taking too long, just give me a little lead. Tell me, okay, it's time to go on, because I can go on forever and talk about my background. But anyways, and like Lou said, I'm from El Paso. I grew up here in El Paso. I'm a middle child, the only girl in my family. I have 2 brothers. I was raised by my mom, who was a single parent. And education has been always been very important to me, and has been a big part of my life from elementary school. Elementary school, when I was in elementary school, no problems. I was a great kid, A student or A and B student. I was in the spelling bee. I was considered to be what they would call a teacher's pet. I was spoiled by my teachers. I was a good student. When I went into middle school, that's when everything changed for me as far as my education. Middle school was very challenging for me. I found myself. I guess I don't know if it was because I was growing up, going into puberty. I just um, didn't fit in. My friends from elementary were going their own separate ways, and I did not fit in. So that's when my challenges in school started. Uh, I started ditching. I didn't want to go to school for whatever reasons. I started hanging around with the wrong crowds because they were like me. They were living in low income housing, and they were people I identified with. At the age of 14, I ran away from home. I was living in the streets for 2 months. No one knew anything from me. Luckily, uh, I went back home after 2 months. I was very happy because it was not a fun time for me. Um, when I went back home, my mom was we had just moved to a new place, to new apartments. So that was an opportunity for me to say, you know what, I'm going to be good now. I'm going to start all new, new place to live. I'm going to start a new school, and I'm going to have new friends, and we're going to be good. Okay. So I start school, seventh grade, eighth grade. Everything was good. And, sort of challenging because I was a little behind from my previous years in school. But then 2 months in, I meet my new boyfriend. A boyfriend. So that was not good. I ended up dropping out of school, 15, pregnant. Um, and living in a situation that it was with a person who was emotionally and physically abusive. So I ended up leaving school, dropping out, raising my daughter at 16, and again in a not very good relationship. um, I think of the lowest points of my life. I think that's probably the time uh, where I hit rock bottom. Um, Luckily, it had to get worse in order for it to get better. I realized at the point I ended up in a shelter for battered women for about 3 days with my daughter. She was about a year and a half, and I think that's the point when I realized, okay, this is not good. I am not going to live like this. And I was able to get away from that relationship, and start rethinking what I wanted out of life. And of course, that included that first step was going back to school. Um, I didn't want to go back to high school or middle school because that's where I left off. I, remembering my past, I didn't think I was going to be a good choice. So I got my GED. I was 17. I got my GED. And then I remember my mom telling me, oh, pues, go work at an office, become a secretary, you know, um, that's the best thing for you. And yeah, okay. So I said, okay, I can do that. Uh, my GED, I went to EPCC. That was my go-to. I went to EPCC. I signed up, and right away they gave me my GED. I tested and I passed right away. That was awesome. That was great. That was a good feeling. And I remember getting, and you said, well, I think I can enroll in college. I did. Um, I remember going through the catalog and see, okay, what do I want to do? Um, I wanted to teach, and then I saw the the program for teaching, and it, I realized, oh, I can start here, but then I have to go to UTEP, to a university, because I had to have a bachelor's in order for me to teach. And I was like, oh, heck no. I mean, that's not me. I am not UTEP material, and I think I can handle EPCC. So, I looked into something else. I registered for office administration. That's the program it was called back then, which is, office work. And I said, okay, well, yeah, it looks easy enough. I think I can handle it. So I went ahead and enrolled in, EPCC for the associate's degree program. Everything going good. It was perfect. 18, 19. In my last semester, I just needed two semesters to finish the program. And guess what? I I became pregnant again. I was 20. I quit college again, uh, or school, and I was, I had met my husband, and we were gonna be together, and again, okay, perfect. I have my daughter. I'm gonna have, another baby. I decided to stay home for a while, and it was going okay. I was able to, I didn't go back to school to finish that program, but I did get, a few jobs as a secretary, data entry clerk. But you know what? I always had that feeling. You know what? I think I can do more. I should go back to school. Um, my late 20s, that's when, my kids were a little bit grown up, and I decided that's what I was going to do. I'm going to go back to school. I looked at the office administration program to see if I could complete it, and I said, no, I don't want to do that anymore. What can I do? Again, I went and looked at the, teacher to become an educator. And I'm like, no, that means I have to go to UTEP. I can't do that. Again, I'm not UTEP material. I'm not smart enough. And then I looked at nursing, at the nursing program, and I was like, oh, I can get a degree in nursing, and then I can work. I don't have to go to UTEP. And then I'm looking at the courses that, okay, I can take French instead of history, because there's no way I was going to take history. The mathematics classes were like, okay, they don't seem that hard. So, it was a better fit for me. So, I enrolled in the nursing program, and I became a nurse. Uh, you know, right, I was, what, 32 when I finished the program. Right away, I got a job. I was making more money. And I was like, okay, I can do this. It was great. It was a great accomplishment for me, to become a nurse. Um, and by the way, that's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Nursing is a hard program. Um, and me thinking, okay, now what? Can I go back and get my bachelor's? And no, no, I need a break from school. I did not want to go get my bachelor's, because that meant going to UTEP again. I wasn't going to go there. Um, and so I became a nurse. I worked a little bit in the hospital, labor and delivery. When I was working at the hospital, it was kind of hard, because as a new nurse, of course, I had to work graveyard. My husband was working out of town in California. I had to leave my kids alone at home during the night, which was very hard. And you know, in reality, I really wasn't enjoying it. I didn't like it. So I left the hospital and went to work at a clinic for older people. Uh, but I remembered when I was doing my clinicals in the nursing program, I did my community hours at a high school, and I really loved it. I started thinking I want to go work as a school nurse. And eventually, I did. I started working as a school nurse, elementary school nurse, for about 6 years. And then I actually left the school district for a year to try something new. Did not work out. I went back, of course, because working for a at a school district, you get summers off. You get your 2 weeks off, here and there, in the fall and in the spring. That was perfect. That was perfect because I had the same schedule as my kids. So I went back to the school district I was at as a middle school nurse. So I've been a middle school nurse for the last, I'd say, about 13, 12 years. Perfect. I enjoyed it, talking to the kids. I guess because that middle school, had a major impact in my life. I guess that I felt comfortable working in that environment with those kids at that age level. I had a strong connection with them. Um, so working okay, everything's good, I have everything in control. uh, and then a few years ago, COVID hit, right? Towards Right before COVID, let me go back. I was already thinking about making a change. uh, I was thinking, okay, can I go back to school? I still had that teaching in my mind. I want to become an educator. Is it, can I do it? Can I go back to school? So I started looking to see what I can do to become a teacher. Well, I find out I have an associate's degree. I can't be a teacher. I need a bachelor's for me to become a teacher, which meant what? Going back to a university. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. um so I in my research, I found out, the transitioning from an associate's degree to a bachelor's degree nurse, and then I could get certified to teach. And I go, okay, that sounds easy. That was in 2018, and then I found out that the program was online classes. Oh, I was like, oh, that's perfect. I don't have to go to the campus. Except, yes, there was one class that I did have to go to campus, and oh my gosh, that was so stressful for me to know I had to go to UTIP. I don't know why, I was very scared of going on campus to UTIP. Um, so I enrolled. I made the decision. I went back to school in 2018, um, and I did get my bachelor's degree in nursing. I finished the program um, in the middle of COVID-19. And I think actually that helped me, because during the last semester, I was gonna have to do my internships, in the community, and for some reason that also scared me. But anyways, I finished the program. I got my bachelor's finally after 30, like after what, 18 years, 17 years, with an associate's degree. I was able to get my bachelor's, and I was very proud of that. um, I started okay, looking into, okay, now what? And then COVID started. We went back to I went back to work. In the beginning, there was a lockdown, so we couldn't, it was just the faculty, not even the faculty, it was just the nurses, and we were considered essential staff. So in order for us to get paid, we had to go back to campus, even though we didn't have any students on campus, because everybody was doing remote learning. um, it was just nurses, cafeteria staff, and custodians and administration. So, as nurse, I'm like, okay, but now what? What am I going to do? There's no kids on campus. So, but anyways, they had a plan for us. I was, able to join the task force for the district, and we started planning and implementing protocols for COVID for the district for when the students returned. Everything was good. I was like, oh, I like this. That it's taking it easy. Work. It was good. It was good. Cleaning up my office, or arranging everything. I had to arrange an isolation room. Getting everything ready because kids were gonna start going back soon. We didn't know when, but they were. Um, 2020 of I think November, we had a few kids starting to go back to school. There was some students who parents, they weren't able to have their kids do remote learning from home, so they were going back to school. Okay, that was good. They started coming back. I was able to deal with them because it wasn't very much. I was in charge of screening them in the mornings, checking their temperatures, doing wall checks, which was good. It would take up like maybe 2 hours in the morning. At the most, we had maybe like 100 students. Good. I would see maybe 2 or 3 students in the nurse's office a day. There was strict, protocols that if they were sick, they were not, they couldn't go to school. So I didn't have any sick kids on campus, which was good. It was good. I still was, looking into, okay, I still want to, pursue that educator, plan that I have. I want to be a teacher. I want to teach. So, but it's still in the back of my head because I got all this COVID stuff going on right now. Uh, at the beginning of the school year of 2021, we had all students come back to school. Um, as one nurse, uh, I was in, we had about 850 students come back, and my role as a school nurse changed completely. What I was used to doing before COVID was not there anymore. My role changed completely. Not only was I having to, deal with my routine duties as far as, uh, we had vision screenings, hearing screenings, monitoring or, kids who needed vaccines, letting the parents know. Uh, I also had to deal with all the COVID stuff. I mean, COVID pretty much dictated how I was gonna run everything. It was all about COVID. I sort of, well, I say other school nurses, we became our own little public health department. We were in charge of contact tracing, quarantine, uh, as a school nurse, kids with who had COVID-like symptoms had to be isolated in a different room. At the same time, I still had to deal with kids who came to what we called the well room. That meant students with diabetes, students with medications that took them daily there in the nurse's office, um, and whatnot. So I right away started seeing, it started getting very stressful for me. Especially when I had 2 or 3 kids in the isolation room, and I also had to deal with my routine duties. Um, it started getting harder. I was not doing my regular duties as I should have, and that started bothering me. That started affecting me because that that was not me. That's not how I work. That's not the way it used to be. Um, it got to a point where I broke down. I remember the day before that I was with a contact tracing and everything. I would have to come home and finish my work here because there was no way I could do it at work. Coming home, finishing the contact tracing, calling parents until 8 or 9 o'clock, letting them know your kid's been in contact with somebody who's tested positive, and either upset. It took a toll on me. Um, the day that I broke down, I remember very clearly. I had two students in the isolation room, because they were sick. I couldn't get a hold of their parents to pick them up. And then I had two parent. We had started COVID testing. On top of that, we also were required to test for COVID. I had two other parents requesting to have their children tested for COVID. Um, and I couldn't say no. That's always been me. I don't know if it's a nurse thing or it's just me. I can never say no to people because I was there to help, whatever. And then at the same time, I had my student with diabetes who had a very low blood sugar in the morning, and it was lunchtime, and I was looking for him. I was desperately looking for him because I kept asking the teachers, have you seen him? No, I haven't. And me, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what if he's passed out in the restroom or whatnot? I was, so I had everything was going on at once. And I just had to stop, and I just remember crying. I went to my campus principal and I told him, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. He goes, what's wrong? I can't. I have this, I have that. And I go, who can help you? And to me, it's like nobody. Nobody knows my job. I'm the only healthcare provider there. Nobody knows my job. I called my nurse manager, and she went to the campus, and I told her, you know what, I can't do this. And in reality, I just did not feel safe. Um, and that's when I realized, you know what, this is not right. This is not me. This is not what I want to do. I came home. I talked to my family, my husband, really, and in me, inside, in my own thoughts, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Um, and I struggle with that, those thoughts, with that decision. I don't want to be a nurse anymore. This is not fun. This is not what it used to be. Coming home, late at night, crying, um, waking up in the morning and just not knowing what could happen, or, thinking, what if I miss something? What if something happens to a student? Um, it's gonna be my fault. It's gonna be my fault. Even if maybe it wasn't, or other people would say it's how, you can't help it. No, it's gonna be my fault, and I was not gonna be able to live with that. Um,
Yeah,
I
sorry.
yes,
Yes, I
yeah,
was gonna say that, thank you for sharing that. I think it's very important because after COVID, many people I think were feeling the same way. And then, that's a whole thing. And we do have a question that I wanted to ask you.
okay,
I didn't want to interrupt you, but
no, no, go
it
ahead.
kind of goes with what you were saying a little
Mhm,
bit earlier. Somebody like saying, as your future career, right?
mhm,
You wanted to be a teacher. Is that what you wanted to do? Yeah, like one of our audience members was saying, when considering a career for your future, what to follow, and to follow your passions, what are the hard truths you need to come to terms with, when choosing a career and stuff like that. And I think that's something that you found out as you were going through that, right?
yes, yes, and don't get me wrong. I consider myself a good nurse. I did everything. I am a nurse. I will always be a nurse at heart. I think like a nurse. But I knew even before COVID that, I want to try something new. I want to go for that teaching opportunity. I want to try it. Um, and then with everything that happened with COVID, and the stress and everything, I think I realized, why not? This is my opportunity. This is my excuse to leave this career and do something different. I didn't. know if I could really do it. It was, these were just thoughts, um, how can I get around it? How can I become that teacher? Get out of this situation. So after that day where when I broke down, you know, I realized I need a change, you know. But then again, I'm like, do I want to go back to school? I really didn't. I really didn't. I knew I could go into a teacher certification program, but then again, I didn't want to. I sort of felt rushed to do this change and to make it happen quick. Um, and I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave. That this was my excuse to do something different. And then to me, I think my emotional well-being, my sanity became a priority. Uh, you know, I it became a priority, and I said, I don't want to continue like this. And then, and I knew it was not just me. Other people were going through the same thing, and I would wonder, well, then why don't you change something about it? Why don't you do something about it? Um, and from what I would hear from people, people are scared to make, it's a big change. You really have to think it through. Is this good for me? Is it the right time? What do I want to do? Well, I started looking for another job. I continued, and I was just, I registered for Indeed, and what's the other one, linked or something. I was just looking. Okay, I want to see what's out there. um of course, I would always look, and you know positions for me, it was always nursing. Okay, nursing. So it took a while, and then I started applying. Getting to that point where you start applying, that's like, wait, that's a, you know reality. It's happening. Um, and then I started applying, and then I wouldn't hear anything, nothing, not even from nursing jobs. And then finally, let me see, I think early September, I got a response, an email response from an agency. Let me take a water break. Sorry, guys. Mm. I got a response. I got an email for an offer for a nurse position to work from home, and I was like, oh, okay. Um, the working from home, I guess, is what appealed to me. I said, okay, maybe it's not going to be bad. I'm going to go and work uh, from home. It sounds good. So I jumped on the opportunity. I wasn't hearing from anybody else, just this agency or this organization or business, whatever. And okay, that was my perfect excuse. You know what? I have a new job. I'm going to give my 2 weeks notice. See ya. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm out of there. Um, and I left. I resigned. And after so many years of doing, I felt sort of like guilty. I felt embarrassed to let people know that I was quitting. Um, but then I was okay because, well, it's because I'm leaving because I have a new job, a better job. I'll be working from home. I don't think I was dealing with, what was really going on in me. And I didn't want people to know how I was feeling. It was, I didn't want to go there yet. So yeah, I left. I started I started working from home in November. I don't. I guess we can go to the first slide just so I can,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and I know that you have the whole thing with the slides and stuff.
Yeah.
Let me show you that real quick on there. All right. Yeah, because how to deal with burnout, whole
Yes.
thing and getting to that
Right.
point. I think there's very good information that you're gonna provide us with.
Yeah.
I believe
And
the
then
first slide should be up.
yeah, that's the title page, and then the second one um, is COVID-19 has made a major impact on women in the workforce, and these are just statistics that I got from uh, from the internet, from the research I made, uh, and I just I found it very interesting. how COVID, made that major impact in, in the workforce, especially with women. Can you go to the next slide?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Oh,
There, hold on. And there it should be the next one. Yeah.
okay, so here we go. From 2019 to 2020, employment for women has dropped by 4.2% compared to 3% for men. So, you can see that the most impact has been made on women. Uh, the pandemic continues to take a toll on women more than men, and women are feeling burnout at an escalating rate. And it's not over. It continues to get worse, and even you get a sense of maybe normal life is in the horizon, but the burnout is getting worse. Only 1 in 3 women have considered downshifting their careers or leaving the workforce in 2021, compared to 1 in 4 in the first few months of the pandemic in 2020. So they're feeling it more now. And it's like me, at the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I could do this, no kids in school, this is cool, it was easy. But as the kids started going back to school, it changed. It got harder for me. The last one is high turnover rates in recent months shows that women considering leaving their jobs suggests that they are following through. So, they're doing it. The changes are, they're not just thinking about it, they're actually going through with it. Downshifting, I think that's a big consideration, and that's me. Um, when I went into this new job, I started and I go, okay, plus I can work from the comfort of my own home. I can still be a nurse. I'm not going to disappoint anybody because I'm still a nurse. Uh, Within the first week of working at that job, I knew, like, yeah, I knew I did not want to do it, and I left. Within, I think, after the second week, I left that job. And that's when I said, okay, why, if you've been, to me, I'm talking to myself, like, if you left nursing because you want to become a teacher, why are you going into a nursing job? Okay, this is not what you want to do. Okay, so I said, okay, yeah, enough is enough. Okay, yeah, get your stuff together. So what is burnout? And it's defined as job-related stress. It can affect your mental and your physical health. I think it affected more my mental health more than my physical. Well, no, not really. Physical health, I guess it did affect me in the sense that, with the weight gain, or days that I wasn't eating well because I was working late at night here at home. I was snacking a lot or picking up fast food because I didn't have time to cook. I had too much going on in my head. I was tired all the time. So yeah, it does affect you physically. So can we go to the next slide? Do I have burnout? These are some questions you might ask yourself. Are you dragging yourself to work and having trouble getting started in the morning? Irritable or impatient with coworkers, customers, or clients? Lack of energy, difficulty concentrating, feelings of disillusioned about the job, using food, drugs, or alcohol to feel better or to simply not feel, changes in sleep habits, unexplained headaches, stomach, bowel problems, or other physical complaints. Now understand, not all these symptoms or these signs will happen to everybody. We all deal with burnout differently. We all get affected differently. Maybe of all of these, maybe there's 2 or 3 that did not fit me. Um, the first one, dragging yourself out of work. I wasn't dragging myself out of to go to work in the mornings, but just the anxiety I would get driving to work, not knowing wondering what is my day going to be like today. That was difficult for me. Irritable or impatient with coworkers, customers, or clients. Um, I wasn't really irritable or impatient, but that did not fit. Lack of energy, yes. Difficulty concentrating, yes. Feelings of definitely feelings of disillusioned about my job. That was definitely for me. And so you can see, ask yourself these questions. Are you feeling this? These might be signs that you're burning out. Can we go ahead and go to the next slide, please? Risk factors are these are the risk factors of burnout. Heavy workload and long hours. That happened to me. Struggling to balance work and life, definitely. When you're coming home working until 9 o'clock, you pretty much, even though you're home, you're pretty much putting everything else aside. You're at home, but you don't have time to cook. You don't have time to enjoy TV. You don't have, your husband. My husband was there, but he wasn't there. I wasn't paying attention. I had to do my job, and and he understood. Thank God. But still, that you have to balance work and life, and it became a struggle. Helping professions such as healthcare and educators. When I saw this, it only said healthcare. Of course, I'm in healthcare, and it affect. But you know what? I worked in a school, and I've seen how COVID has affected educators and teachers. Um, and even when me seeing that, and I was thinking, I want to be a teacher. I want to become an educator. But seeing them, what they were going through, it also brought, like, you know do I really want to do that? Is it a right time to do that? So, I was also struggling with that, because I've seen how educators have been affected by COVID. It's been a very difficult time for them. Feelings of little or no control over work. Absolutely. uh, I lost control when those students went back, and I had all these extra responsibilities and duties to do. I felt I had lost control. And it's a terrible feeling. It's hard to deal with that. And that's what made me break down. Um, so, okay, we go to the next slide. Okay. So, if you feel you do have burnout, um, you know these are some of this is what can happen. These are the consequences of burnout. If you don't change anything, extreme fatigue, sadness, and anger, insomnia. uh, Definitely, insomnia. I still struggle with insomnia. Alcohol and substance abuse, heart disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and then vulnerability to illness. I've seen this a lot. When people are stressed out, they get sick a lot, a lot. Your immune system sort of like weakens. So, these are serious consequences. So, if a change isn't done, or you don't address it, this can happen to you. Can we go ahead and go to the next slide, please? Okay. I'm burned out, now what? Okay, it's time to make some changes. You have to realize, this is not normal. This is not good. You need to change something about it. You need to evaluate your options, see what, is there something that you can work with your supervisor, your managers? Is there something that you can change um, at the workplace? For me, that day that I broke down and I called my nurse manager and I met with my campus principal, I was ready to quit that day. I can't do this. Um, the next day, they sent over an assistant. I had somebody there to help me now. But it wasn't going to be a fast resolution, because this person was new. So on top of everything else, I still had to train her. So it wasn't going to be a quick solution. So anyways, look for, talk, see what your options are. Seek support. It helped me to talk to other school nurses who were going through the same thing, to talk about what was going on. Exercise. Well, sorry, but I didn't have time for exercise. But I knew it helped, but I didn't have time. I couldn't make time for that. Try something that can help you relax. Read a book. Spend more time with family. Um, and then I found this one, mindfulness, and I put a definition for that one because I was like, mindfulness. So mindfulness is the act of focusing on your breath flow and being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling at every moment without interpretation or judgment. In a job setting, this practice involves facing situations and openness and patience and without judgment. Um, mindfulness, yeah, but sometimes it's really hard. You have to practice at this. I guess I did try this sometimes without knowing that I was doing that, but it does take practice, especially when, you have so much going on. You sort of have to like, realize, know that you have to, step back and then, sort of like meditate and, take that breather, count to 10. Okay, let's start all over. Let me see right now. Keep an open mind when considering your options. Um, and just know, especially if you're thinking of quitting or changing careers, um, keep an open mind. See what your options are. Don't just, oh no, that's not for me. No, that's not for me. Look at your pros and cons. What's more important to you. The money, or just changing into advancing, or just going, not changing your career completely, but going at a, with nursing, there's so many options that you can do, but is that what you really want to do? um, and then let me see, quitting or changing careers. Okay, so that's where pretty much I am right now. My decision was to quit. I resigned from the school district after 18 years. I was getting close to retirement, so but I said, nah, no, I'm not gonna do this. This is my opportunity to make a change. And when I accepted that first job, that's I rushed into that decision because I was not seeing offers from anybody. Nobody was replying, and then I get this offer, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do it. It sounds good. Blah blah blah. And look at me. I didn't even last three weeks. I think 2 weeks. So don't rush into a decision. Um, again, what are your options? What is your emotional and mental state right now? Can you deal with this change right now? Is it your emotions that you're having to deal with first? To me, I had to deal with what I was feeling, my mental state, before I started before I start, making that decision. What is it, or what is it that I really want? What is it? Am I making this change because, I'm, emotionally not all there? I need to, I fix myself before I, make the right decision. Um, ask yourself why you want to quit or change your careers. And ask yourself, is it because of the stress? Is it going to change your situation? Is your situation going to change in the long run? Do you need to, just make some changes within your area? Can it get better? And will you feel better about it? Or is it something that you're definitely, your mind is already made up, and this is what you want to do? Are you prepared to deal with two life altering events at the same time? My daughter was reading this. She goes, what two life altering events? Changing careers is a major life altering event. Are you ready to do this during COVID? COVID is a major life altering event. We also are dealing with the stress of COVID. Um, and then, changing careers, quitting, that's major. Are you prepared to deal with that? Um, do you have the financial resources to help you support a change of career? You know, um, we were so used to. My husband works, and thankfully he has a good job. But we were so used to my income, And luckily we had some savings set aside, and I think that's what helped me also realize I can do this for the time being. Me thinking, you know what, I'm gonna start applying. I can probably get a job within 2 weeks. I'll be working. Yeah, whatever, maybe a once a one a month worth of work or money. I mean, that's not that bad. Well, no, I'm still here and I'm not employed. So that savings is, really tiny right now. So you have to think about that. Do you have a means to support yourself financially before you make this decision? There was a time in January. My husband is a welder, so he has contracts. He once a contract finishes, he's without a job. Before it wasn't a big a big deal because he would apply for unemployment until he got his next contract, and it wasn't a big deal because I was working, and then he did lose his job, and I was like, oh, what now? But luckily he's back at work. Challenges. The challenges I'm facing right now is, after applying and applying and applying and not hearing anything back, now what's going on? I heard it all from either you're overqualified to you're underqualified. It hurts when you go into when you register to for an account with the city or with the state, and then you get a message, sorry, but we've selected somebody else. Sorry, you weren't selected. That hurts, and I'm like, wow, what did I do? So there's challenges. Plus, I started realizing, wait a minute, I'm no spring chicken anymore. Is it my age? That people don't want to hire me. I always hear, I've always heard, what, hire them young because that way you can mold them. And I was like, oh, maybe that's what's going on. I'm already molded and have my own ways, and they don't want to deal with that. So, anyways, those are some of the challenges that I faced. Feelings of guilt, shame, and fear of failing. Um, the guilt was there. Not admitting to myself that this is what I want to do. Disappointing my family. My husband especially. I don't know why my husband has always been very proud of that I'm a nurse, and then and I felt I always I felt I was going to disappoint him by telling him, what, I don't want to be a nurse. One day I just told him, and he just looked at me, and he's like, you spent a lot of time in going to school and you're quitting now. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Know what your worth is. With all those rejections I got from applications, I started thinking, I'm a nurse, and I think that's what they're seeing. And I was applying for, areas that were completely, non-nursing, but you know what? I can bring a lot. I thought to myself, I can bring a lot to an employer. My experience, my skills, my life skills, my my matureness. I have a lot. Know your worth. Know what you can bring to an employer. And you stand up for it and you say it. And I just had a job interview yesterday, and I told them, just because you see a nurse and you're seeing my resume, don't see me that way. I can bring a lot more to you. I have the customer service skills. I have the people skills. I can do a lot for you. So you know your worth. Share your story. And that was my main point coming to this presentation, because I wanted to share my story with you guys. Not only am I sharing with you, but this is helping me also cope with what I'm going through. I've noticed that, I know there's other people going through the same thing. I want to share with you what I am going through, and, maybe help you decide what is right for you. What I did for myself may not be the right decision for somebody else. I just want to get my story out there and let people know that, you're not alone. There's others going through the same thing. And, there's always, I guess, a light at the end of the tunnel. It's whatever decision that you're going to make, know that it's going to be the right one for you. It's going to fit you, and don't be afraid to do it. Um, it takes courage. It does take, courage and strength, but it can be done. And then this is my last slide. These are some quotes that I found. It is not as much about who you need to be as it is about who you choose to be. Okay. And then the other one is, when the grass looks greener on the other side of the fence, it may be that they take better care of it there. And then the last one, it's a definition that I saw while looking for some quotes. I said mindset. I use that word a lot, mindset. Once your mind is set to do something, go for it, do it. So mindset is the driving force in the quest for success and achievement. A mindset that combines discipline, strength, confidence, and ambition is a powerful mindset. This can achieve anything it sets its sights on. A powerful mind can achieve anything. So that's it. That's my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I don't know if there's more questions for me out there, Lee.
No, yes, thank you so much, Susie. Lots of information. We got to know you a little bit better, which is great. I always say to everybody, knowing about the person's journey or knowing the person is always good to know, because those stories kind of like they relate to everybody, right? Even though it's your own story, people have gone through some of that stuff. I know we're getting a little bit closer to one already, but
Yes.
I still wanted to answer a little bit questions. So we're going to go a little bit over one, just so that we can kind of answer some of the questions that we have for you. I do want to say that, like you mentioned, you're a non-traditional student, and there's so many people out there that they're non-traditional. They don't go exactly from high school to, to the college, or even doing that transition that you were talking about, like going to UTEP, that fear of like, oh man, it's a small little, like a college, it's a small, like closer together and everything like that. And then you go to like a university where it's like everything is so far away. You have an auditorium, classroom, and all that stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
It's always been very scary for me. My go-to is EPCC always.
yeah, which is great. But that's the thing that we wanna provide everybody with like their confidence. And I know that we have some students on here. One person did do a question for us, and this is one question that we wanted to ask you. Um, she was asking pretty much, and and I believe kind of like a non-traditional, because she said, if you had to go back to school as part of changing your career, what was your experience with this? And you kind of mentioned that. This person, she said, I'm almost 40 and just working on my degree. It's simultaneously intimidating and empowering. I like how she phrased that, right? Because it is. It's intimidating. It's empowering. In some ways, I feel so behind from my peers, and in others, I feel far ahead of them in class material, practical skills, and life experiences. Where's the balance? So, what would you say to students there? How do you balance all that?
How do you balance on that? Well, look, I went back to school at 30. I was already older, and of course, it was EPCC, but, there was a lot of younger students at me, but then also there was a lot of people like me, my age. So that was okay. Um, I went back to school again when I was 50. I'm 53 right now. At 50, even though most of my courses were online, I did go on campus to UTEP for one course, which was also challenging for me because most of the students were fresh out of high school and whatnot. There were a few who were older like me. And then even online, you could tell which students were younger. And you do, as an older person, you do bring a lot, and you might feel intimidated, you might feel behind, but you also bring those life skills to you with you, and that helps you understand. You have that maturity level that maybe, and no offense, maybe the crowds of younger students do not have. So you enjoy it more. I enjoyed it. I was scared to death of having history when I was in school. I avoided it. During this, my bachelor's, I had to take a history course. And of course, I was able to take it at EPCC. And you know what? I loved it. I enjoyed it. I learned so much. I was like, oh my God, I was so scared of history, and I've learned so much. So it's kind of, it has its cons, and it has its pros. So go with the pros. You can, the intimidation, put it to the side. It's nothing. You'll get there. You will get there.
Oh, that's awesome, and that's one thing that you being part of Mija, yes, you can. That's your whole message that yes, you're able to do this. You have that support. Is there anything last that you would wanna just leave us with as far when we're closing the show now? So
I just want to thank everybody for joining in and listening to my story. That was my whole point of this, to share my story with you. By all means, don't do what I did. I made my mistakes. Uh, do, like I said, look at your options, review them, list them, see what works, what's going to work better for you. Don't rush into it, and be patient. It takes time. Look at me. I'm about to start a new job. I'm not gonna say, but because I'm still pending another job offer that maybe I might go that other direction. But it's taking me what, October, November, December, like 3, 4 months to get the right job. It is a non-nursing job, but I'm very excited. I'm ready to go for. I'm ready for a new change.
oh,
You know.
thank you so much, Susie, and you know what, and that's a great way to kind of end everything. Is that go with your passion. That's a whole thing. I always tell everybody, you have to be happy where you're at. And if
Mhm.
you feel it that I have to go to work again or anything like that, maybe it's a time to kind of reevaluate where you're at
Exactly.
and start thinking, okay, or how can I improve my situation? So,
That's a
so
major red flag. Once you start dreading those mornings going to work, that's a red flag. Take a step back and see what's going on.
Oh yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you. I do wanna kind of the other events. Hopefully this is loading up. We do want to invite you next week. We have spring break here at EPCC, so there's not going to be anything going on for with us. Hopefully this is uploading right now. But if not, when we come back, please join us March 23rd. We're going to be having Nora Garcia. She's a community member and an artist, and she's going to be kind of doing what Susie mentioned, mindfulness, right? How to heal and do healing chants and drum circle. So that should be interesting and it should help you relax. So please join us for that. Once again, that's going to be March 23rd. And then the following Wednesday after that, March 30th, we end up with Miss Leti Arellano. She's also a community member and a makeup enthusiast. She's going to be sharing with you all some makeup tips and then also like a little bit on her journey on how to feel good about yourself and everything. So she's breaking the rules in our 40s. That's her presentation. Also, a reminder that we do still have the Black History Month scholarship going on. So spread out the news for all our students, please. We encourage you to also apply for these scholarships. The Black History Month application deadline is until the end of the month, March 31st. And we do have the Women's History Month scholarship, which is a partnership also with like the Adelante Mujer. I know in the audience members, we had some members that helped contribute with this, so we want to say thank you to them. That one is going to be until April 29th that it's open. Please visit our EPCC Financial Aid Scholarship page for that more details and to apply for, once again, the Women's History Month Scholarship Adelante Mujer. Luz, this is your part.
Oh, thank you, Lee. And Susie, thank you so much for sharing with us. Here's our contact information. Our director, Dr. Andrew Peña, Lee's information, email, phone number, and mine. Also, follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram. And for any future workshops, please visit our EPCC website, epcc.edu/services/diversity. And thank you everyone for joining us today. And thank you everyone for their participation.
Have a good day.
Bye bye, everyone.